Welcome to Gas, Poetry, Art, and Music. I'm your host, Belinda Subraman. Well, John M. Bennett, I remember seeing your Lost and Found Times in various publications. We must have exchanged or something because...
Yeah, back in the 70s or 80s.
Yeah, 80s. I was 84 to 94 for the magazine, my magazine. But I never really understood your work, and that's not any bearing on your work. It's on me. I have a problem understanding. How would you explain or describe your art form?
Okay, so it's something I've always had to do, and I was less interested in a career as a poet or anything like that. It just didn't interest me. And what I was reading, especially what I was reading in English, American poets, for the most part, English poets, English language poets, just didn't speak to me at all. Because I'm looking for not something that explains some state of mind or explains a social situation or tells you what to do or anything like that. It just doesn't mean anything to me. What I'm trying to do is create a token or a totem or a talisman or a symbolic object or an object in words that contains everything or refers to everything. And that's what I've been working towards all my life. And the only places that really seem to understand this approach to literature are in Latin America and parts of Europe.
Okay,
especially.
So it's not about a meaning. It's not about reading and there's a meaning there, but when you write it, is it completely intuitive, like you're channeling, or just like I'm going to just let it flow and here it is, and then the viewer receives intuitively whatever they get from their own mind?
Well, the poem is like a mirror, and anytime you look at it, a particular poem or piece of mine, it'll look different. You will look different in it, or you'll see different parts of yourself in it. And I have the same experience when I look at one of my works. It's not the same ever twice, because there's, I write in double meanings and double languages and backwards and upside down and all kinds of stuff like that to create this sense of totality.
Is the way it's viewed on the page just as important as the characters that you use? That's part of the totality.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've always felt that the blank space at the end of a line is part of the poem. I mean, that's it, part of it. And that's why it's poetry and not prose.
Are you familiar with Asemic writing? Is your art form in any way similar?
Well, yes, I'm very familiar with that whole phenomena that's going on. In part, I had something to do with starting at least the current promotion of that. But there is no such thing as asemic writing, and most of the people involved in this think the same way. It doesn't exist. Anything has meaning. A scrawl on the page that's not a letter has meaning.
But my definition that I have is that the meaning is in the aesthetic intuition. So it is meaning, but it's not the normal sort, described in words. It just comes from you, the mirror, like you say.
Yeah, right. I was doing stuff back in the 70s. I started doing calligraphy, my own particular style of calligraphy. I never studied formal calligraphy. And at one point, I just started doing what I called at the time, sort of jokingly, spirit writing. And it was just a loopy scrawl across the page. And, I still do sort of like that today. I mean, I do a lot of work, calligraphic work, and the visual side of it. See, poetry is not restricted just to language. In my experience, it involves sound, it involves visuality, it involves shape and structure, it involves the physicality of the material that it's on. All those things are brought together in a lot of what I do. You can see that there.
Oh, okay. Tell us about that. Maybe read from it too.
Yeah, I can read a couple things I got marked in here.
Well, what does that name mean? How do you say that?
Ojete, it's a word that involves, it's the word ojo in Spanish, and ojete, which means asshole in Spanish. It's a slang word. So this is asshole eye or something like that.
Oh, by the way, it's interesting to note that you have a PhD in, what was it, Latin American studies or literature?
Latin American literature and studies.
So you're still writing on a regular basis?
Yeah, writing a lot, publishing books. Our press publishes a lot of stuff. We just published this book by Roberto Encar, who's a Puerto Rican poet, very interesting guy. And we publish some Americans. Ivan Argüelles, we published several books of his. Jim Leftwich, Sheila Murphy.
Okay, go ahead.
This is a new sticker. The press has been publishing stuff since 1975 or 74, come to think of it. And it has a lot of amazing books. It's
well, yeah. I'm gonna say goodbye, and it's been a real pleasure and honor to meet you and to talk with you.
Well, same here, and good to meet you after all this time. And I'll see if we can get a video of reading a couple things this afternoon.
All righty. Okay. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Après suicida, agua aguja, aguja agua, door ends here. Slab wind burns way, I drop the fork, knife spins on a floor, empty bed you snored, grins at me, typos fall off my shirt, your mumbling, yawn wider than your blank screen trouble, slab floater hole, chair qui brûle sur le toit. Rain inside your throat, or gnats asleep under calabosona, liana, lianima inversa, luz cavernosa, lluvia, ojos soterráneos, babo casa, tripulante del reloj, alojado en el riñonadasquesco, por la nada nado, rutilante y ciego, a slug, gulse, gusts, wind, lake, inflation, bursting stones, clat, tolk, clock, taulk, tlalok, gash, lamp, cloud, plunge off, plunge off, plunge off, chair burning in a tree, the long, flat rat your tongue inhales. Rice, clamor, rumor, endornido, bisbiseando al pie del camastro, la caca maestra, el comeastro, el sol, los, sol, Sueño del sol es una máscara quítica, una moscarata que te come la cara. El meñique es un imán. Nami es el rumbo invisible de la fonética famélica. Starved phonetics, and your greasy description es criptilógica que conoce la muralla wall etymologique flame rendition. At link irrestive slab refogged Escriptorn, escrapturn, scrape is.
Hello, my name is Carrie Pulo. I am a former psychologist. I was born in the Chicagoland area. I currently live in Tucson, Arizona, and I am an Asemic writing artist and visual poet. My work reflects the study of thought without language and the psychological effects of both creating and perceiving asemic written forms. Asemic writing, in its simplest terms, means having no specific semantic content. It is a wordless, open, semantic form of writing. I struggle with describing my own asemic writing. I find the psychological aspect of asemic writing as important as the literary and visual artistic experience. The art of asemic writing reflects an open marriage between literary and visual arts, unmediated by language. It permits the exhibition and illustration of thoughts, feelings, perceptions, ideas, otherwise defeated by words. Asemic writing, for me, presents a solution to the restrictions of expressive language. I think there are infinite connections this type of writing can convey about the collective experience of being human. My asemic writing practice is instinctual and impulsive. For me, it's an impulsive thought, an expression of likely what I feel I cannot say with words or have no words for, and the resulting physical expression of that thought is displayed in a word-like form. I also employ rhythmic line marking, color, and shape in attempt to illuminate thoughts in the absence of words. The practice of asemic writing can be both meditative and exhilarating. It provides a means of purging thought that is cathartic and restorative, while the physical sensation of moving a pen on paper, similar to music and dance, can be exhilarating. I write this way with no intention, and I often look back and try to interpret my experience. My hope is that others who view these works will also enjoy the experience of reading or interpreting a meaning or feeling that is not definitively mine, and experience a personal connection to a feeling or thought it may invoke.
When you can't tell dusk from break of dawn, your days seem numbered and the nights are long. The ticket's done and the fool is on. Let it rain, let it rain. Yesterday's broken and tomorrow's closed. Where come too far to stand in vain. Slip past the gods and you're shackled again. And some quote people, they have no shame. Wherever you look, there's none to blame. Let it rain, 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 let it rain.
Jared, I was wondering, tell me something about your poetry story, like about when you started, maybe what influenced you, or just anything you'd like to tell us about your writing career.
Okay, well, my writing pathway is an interesting one because I didn't really start writing seriously, and even seriously, like I'm putting that in quotation marks, until college. And I decided that I was going to take an introduction to creative writing course. And I really fell in love with it. And I think I fell in love with fiction first, but I started teaching a couple of years after I graduated from college. And one of the really important things that they wanted me to do was work with kids on their creative writing. I was chosen to be the editor of the school's like Lit Mag, annual Lit Mag, and a lot of the kids were entering contests and all of these things. And I wasn't a big poetry person, but I realized, well, if I am going to do my job well, then I need to get more involved in poetry. I need to read more poetry. And my love for poetry, it might have come later, but it came by reading it. The book is called American Fries, Poems and Stories. As I'll read first the title poem.
Is that from Alien Buddha?
Alien Buddha Press.
Okay, I was trying to get you to give him a plug. Okay.
Sorry.
That's fine. All right, go proceed.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. American Fries. Take a seat right here, sir. Care to look at the menu? Today's special is deep fried. Deep fried what, you ask? Everything. There's enough grease in this shit to make your arteries explode and to make you forget about the future. It's okay. The dream is a lie. It's been one for years. Yes, even if you are a wasp, if you're straight, a man. We can't get you a piece of that pie if you didn't inherit it. But that's cool, right? Live humbly like Jesus wants you to, and enjoy some of this star-spangled awesome. The salt alone will make your heart pound so hard, you'll think it's the damn fireworks your redneck neighbor has left over from his month-long 4th of July celebration. Freedom tastes good, am I right? Just like racism, misogyny, homophobia, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, fat shaming, and age discrimination. Oh, and don't forget classism. Go capitalism. Be a patriot like your friends. Don't think about it. Thinking isn't your strongest suit, and it isn't theirs either. Who needs an education? Not me, not them, not you. You can't afford one anyway. So go ahead, order that triple cheeseburger. You've been eyeing it since you picked up the menu. It comes with a Coke and a side of fries. French fries? To hell with that. We serve American fries here. All American, all that matters.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about there. Certain groups of people.
This is new. This piece is called Dead End. I wrote this towards the beginning of the pandemic, or at least the idea came from towards the beginning of the pandemic. Dead End. You used to love driving at night to escape ghosts and mundane realities. The road meant happiness in the form of exit ramps and taillights of fellow midnight Kerouacs in the distance ahead. Like you, they knew the world's greatest love song was the hum of the engine and the percussion of tires on pavement, with some Willie Nelson playing on the radio. The welcoming thought that a good night's sleep could be found at a mom and pop motel, and that a cup of coffee, a cheeseburger, or both could be served by a smiling waitress at any hour, where city lights, that gorgeous neon, appeared on the horizon. Even the smell of gasoline during a midnight fill-up would add to your happiness. For as long as that motor was running, you felt alive. But the highway is dead now. Those city lights don't shine anymore. The 24-hour diners are closed. The jukeboxes no longer play. You're lucky if you can find an open McDonald's drive-thru where a masked worker nervously accepts your card and gives you a greasy burger and fries that you now wonder if you can even eat. And there's no room at the Motor Inn. It's closed, perhaps permanently. You can't tell. But you sure know the road no longer feels like home. Home is where you're stuck in late night silence. You no longer have the miles ahead to look forward to when the sun rises. Instead, when your weary head hits the pillow, all you can do is pray in loneliness that life will return one day to the interstates, that this dead end isn't forever, and that when you wake up, you'll still be able to breathe.
Yes, yes.
And so I didn't think I'd be writing much about the pandemic, but I think I've got 3 COVID-related pieces now. I guess, it's just like a lot of people, we write what comes to mind.
Well, I also think that it's important for history that we record our thoughts, feelings, what we did, because something like this hasn't happened in this first time in 100 years, something
Right.
like this has happened. So it's important. So Jared, thank you. It's been nice to hear you read and to talk, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Alrighty.
Thank you for the opportunity.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I got COVID here and I don't care. I'm Chris Bodor with the Ancient City Poets, and we put together a book called Florida Speaks that features words from people who came to our open mic and shared poetry in St. Augustine, and also people on an international level who wrote about Florida. And it's all edited together in a book called Florida Speaks. I have a poem in here called Northern Florida's First Frost. First frost has arrived in northern Florida during the first week in January. Elephant ears bitten, leaves turning brown, coleus withered, flowers drooping down. And me? Am I withered? No, I've been transplanted, finally free from the root-bound confines of my upstate upbringing. Nurtured with healthy soil, I've been given a chance to mature, much more than a geographical relocation, much more than a permanent vacation. I've laid down my shovel. Florida flowers will flourish in the hole that I dug for myself during my decade of decay. I have a second chance in this second growing season.
Gertrude, there's such a charming quality to your work. It looks like from another era, like you're illustrating folk tales. But I would love for you to tell me something about your style and your inspiration and whatever you would like to tell us about your painting.
Okay. These paintings, they are a bit special because this I work with a very long time, and I do work with them because I want to express some kind of feeling. It could be something I work with, like the one with the egg. Do you want me to show it now, or?
Sure.
The one with the egg here. I did there.
Yeah. That one evokes a lot of feeling there. It's all positive too, like birth, light, or what were you thinking? You were trying to convey something very special, I think.
Yes, it was a part of in the period of my life when I worked. I've been alone for a very long time, and I left the relationship with a man who beated me, and I had a little girl who I raised by myself, and then I met Bengt. And I had kind of, closed that door for me. I was kind of, my life is quite okay as it is. I don't need a man. I don't need anything else. It's me and my child. And I was content with that. And then I fell in love. And it was this very, very special feeling of something new. And do I dare, to jump in this in life? This because sometimes we get chances we choose to not take, but we know when we get them. And that was the feeling I wanted to have some kind of picture on.
So you have several paintings that have lots of people doing things, telling a story. Do you have one of those handy that you could show us and tell us maybe something about the story?
There, okay, there. Yeah, I have 4 of these, and I'm a preschool teacher, and sometimes my work is very, it feels like I'm not good enough, and there are a lot of children, and I want to give them everything, and they beat each other, and they do stuff. And still, this is a world that I like, that I spend 40 hours a week with the same children, around 24 of them with 2 colleagues. So it's a lot of children. And we play outside, we play inside, we talk, and this is their world.
The children are outside the schoolhouse playing, is that in the skiing and having a good time, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and they do. And in Sweden we have this gingerbread houses in Christmas time, and it's also fairy tales with the witch and the gingerbread house. And yeah, we read stories and we talk about stories, and they are sometimes nice to each other and sometimes not.
Great.
Yeah, and in Sweden we have this kind of weather a very long time. Okay, now it's not as much as before because we really feel, the warmth, the heating. We don't have this kind of winters so much anymore, but we had them before.
Yeah, climate change.
Yes,
Real.
climate change.
It's real.
They do stuff.
You're a preschool teacher. That's interesting then.
Yes, and I'm an artist too. I wanted to be that first. And then you have to support yourself. And it's not so easy to live by your art.
Oh, yeah.
But I made a compromise. I work with a pedagogic that's called Reggio Emilia. And it's from Italy. And it started after World War II. And in this little town, Emilia, so the people there, they didn't want to have dictators again. And they wanted the children to get the best, the schools and everything. So they decided that every school and preschool should have artists to work with the teachers, so the children could learn to see and also to see, to learn, but also to put questions on their board. And for example, one way of working with kids, it's a very creative way, and you go to a statue, and you have the clay with you, and the children, they put the clay on the shadow from the statue.
Oh.
And then we go home and eat, and we go back again, and the children, they see the shadow. What have happened? It's moved. It's become bigger or smaller, and they started to have a lot of questions, and then maybe they want to paint the statue, and they want to paint the shadows again with different colors on the ground, or maybe they, it's a really different way of learning, because at the same time you learn about art, you also learn about nature and what happens, and the clock and the time and everything. And that's very exciting. I like that way to work.
Do you happen to have that painting that there were all these people are doing things, and we talked about it on the Facebook group, and it had witches or something in it, I think.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah. Now, is that illustrating a fairy tale, folklore, or what is it? What is that?
It's in the same series about the children, about children's life, about how inside become outside and how outside become inside, because they play house when they're outside. Mm-hmm. They play, here we live, and bye now you are going to work. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see why it would take a long time. And just so people listening know, this is a photographic print of a much bigger painting, right?
Yeah, they are quite big, and I sold them to the social care education here in Sweden. They wanted my pictures because they wanted to gather more children. They wanted to get education. They wanted to have pictures to talk about when they with the students.
Well, thank you very much, Gertrude. It's very nice to meet you and to see your art and to talk with you. All right, we'll see you later.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Into the prayer wheel, touching the unaware soul of a child or a plant that dies in the moonlight. The scene is pumped with mist and color, beckons you arise to the sound of metal clashing, caught between the worlds, eyes open to thought clouds, blending red into night, nearly fearing, only glancing before the clouds cease. You feel souls meet, relay a thought in love. Give us something for our fears, not the dark and the needle. Give us something like the mist knows.
Thank you for listening and watching GAS, Poetry, Art, and Music. If you'd like to encourage us, please subscribe to our channel, like, comment if you will, share, and tell your friends about our project. And we hope to see you next time.